Hey there, and welcome to the Consultants Counsel podcast, a place for consulting industry guidance and best practice advisory. Whether you're working to grow in your consulting career, you're managing and developing a consulting firm, you're working with consultants, or you're just interested in business and high-performance advice, we've got recommendations and education for you. I'm Kelsey Krevling, founder and CEO of Kelsey Consulting, a firm focused on building high-performing organizations, teams, and leaders through a variety of ventures, including the Consultants Counsel. I've spent my career at the intersection of technology and management consulting, working with organizations across the country to help solve their toughest challenges, while also supporting the growth and development of multiple consulting firms, helping them improve their long-term performance trajectory. In addition, I'm an entrepreneur across a few different industries, and I serve as a startup investor and advisor, promoting the ideas of other entrepreneurs as they work to gain traction in their industries. With so many people gearing up to launch their own businesses and establish their own consulting practices, I want to make available the advice and lessons others and I have learned along the way. This podcast is made possible by Kelsey Consulting, with media support by K Studios. For more information, check out our site at theconsultantscounsel.com and KELSC.consulting. That's Kelsey.consulting. And now, stay tuned for this episode's counseling, because the consulting world is full of nuances, and the answer is always, it depends. What's possible? Do more. Today's episode is sponsored by Tori, a personal physical asset inventory capital manager. Head to inventory.capital to request your invitation, because your inventory tells a story and it is safe with Tori. And thanks to Tori for sponsoring this episode. To learn more about how Tori can manage your personal physical assets, head to inventory.capital. Hey there, and welcome to the Consultants Counsel podcast. I am so thrilled for today's episode. It is special in a number of ways. First of all, we are here at my alma mater, Texas A&M in College Station, for today's episode, so pretty excited for that. But in addition, I'm actually being joined by a current Aggie med student, Patrick Monday. Now, Patrick has had a really phenomenal tenured career as a naval officer, but he's also been known to be doing some pretty daring and amazing activities. So Patrick's going to tell us about those experiences and how they have formed his career and what he's pursuing now. Welcome, Patrick.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Kelsey. It's cool.
Yeah. Good to be here.
Yeah. Patrick, or I go by Pat. You guys call me Pat.
Cool.
I'm first year med student at Texas A&M, College of Medicine. Served in the Navy, active 13 years, 3 months, got out in December. Let's see, I did my first undergrad, so I did 2 undergrads. My first undergrad at Utah State University, did track and field there, joined the Navy immediately following that. Had initially planned to only do probably 4 or 5 when I went in.
Okay. What changed?
I fell in love with EOD.
Okay. For those that don't know, what is EOD?
Explosive Ordnance Disposal.
Okay.
So Navy Explosive Ordnance Disposal. We, for lack of better clarity here, we disarm explosives. Sometimes we blow them up because we find that as a safer means to get rid of them. We parachute, we dive, we shoot a lot of guns, we augment a lot of special operations teams as their demolition guys, and we were really heavily involved in the global war on terror, so our schedule was busy, and I found honestly, I think what kept me going was just the people. So the people we had were pretty incredible. It's really awesome to see a lot of really motivated, highly intelligent people from all walks of life come together to come do this thing in the military. And so for an idea of doing 4 years turned into 13 years. I stayed a lot longer than I thought I would.
How did you end up in EOD, Special Operations? Is that something that you knew from the get-go you wanted to pursue, or did you kind of get swayed into it based on some things you were experiencing?
Yeah, so I actually really wanted to go in and do something special, forces, special operations, and of course, name brand Navy SEAL sounded like the coolest way to go in. So I was an athlete, collegiate athlete, swimming, running, working out, something that was challenging, that also put me, I would say, closer to the fight. That was my drive for going into the Navy. So I was a freshman when 9/11 happened, freshman in high school, and I remember that being a pretty profound event, impact on myself and a lot of others. And so that was, I mean, not the only reason I went into the Navy, but I think that was very much a big factor in the decision-making process to eventually go in. And so 3 years later, I graduate high school. I'm kind of at this crossroads of whether I'm going to go into the military or if I'm going to go to school first. The parents, family, everybody was like, hey, go to college first, in the hopes that I think, I'll grow to be a better, person, and also maybe change my mind about going into the military.
Okay. They weren't wanting that maybe for you?
Nah, I think they're so I come from a family of musicians, so very different from
Military.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd be the first one. I'm the oldest of four, and so I mean, I think the opportunity to go do D1 track and field at Utah State kind of convinced me to go in that direction first.
Yeah.
So I went to Utah State. I did that, graduated in 2010, and very much those last couple of years, I was like, I know exactly where I'm going as soon as I finish. I'm going to go to the military. So that is...
Did not change your mind?
No, not at all. And so, enlisted in 2010, initially to go be a SEAL. I went to what the Navy calls basic underwater demolition school, and I tapped out pretty early. Probably wasn't mentally ready for that yet.
It's a unique challenge, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's one of the. I mean, I think there's like a couple ways to go there. Like you got people that will go through who like no matter what, for whatever reason, they're just like, I'm not going to quit on things, and then others kind of have like a really defined purpose and like understanding of themselves and what they want to do, and that gets them through to. I was probably neither of those categories at that time.
Okay.
Still trying to as a kid, I never left my my hometown in college, so I was very much like still in a small world.
Got it.
I was doing athletics there. It was like I grew up in Utah, grew up in Logan, went to college in the same town I grew up in. Kind of hadn't like figured myself out yet, and so I think
Logan's really protected.
It is.
It is. I mean, it's protected by the actual physical barriers of the mountains, but it's also just it's kind of like Pleasantville up there.
It is. Yeah.
It's lovely.
It is like Pleasantville. Great place, like in terms of safety to grow up.
Right.
I think, like, I wouldn't change that for the world. I think that was a really cool, like, a fortunate like experience to grow up in a fairly protected environment. But you don't really figure out who you are without really facing adversity and challenges.
Sure.
And so that, I think, going to Bud's SEAL training there, I didn't know who I was. So the moment of like getting people really in my face and it being hard and uncomfortable was like, oh man, I'm not ready for this. So I tapped out, and then I ended up being sent to a ship out in Japan. So that quickly ripped me out of the
comfort
zone.
Of Utah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was stationed
in Japan?
Sasebo, Japan.
Okay.
So it's on the island of Kyushu. It's just south of Honshu, which is the main island. I was deployed aboard a ship there in a rate called undesignated seaman. Like you're basically like a deckhand.
Okay.
So very not what I wanted to be doing when I had joined the military. It was very much opposite from a combat role in every way sense of the word. But I will say that like that. So I spent 18 months doing that out there. And I will say that the deployments we did throughout Southeast Asia and being in this like really, you are bottom of the military in that role. And being in that and like doing stuff and getting way outside my comfort zone, I think really taught me some valuable life lessons.
Sure.
It'll build some character too. Like I remember like there's a great photo somewhere. I need to get it from one of the people I was working with. But like I've got this silly life vest thing with this Bob the Builder helmet on, and I'm like painting the waterline on this ship. Looking
like, what am I doing here?
Yeah, just like this is so not what I joined the military for.
Gotten me here, yeah.
But I think it really helped. Like I said, just like kind of recenter and help form some of that character that would be needed to go through a harder selection process. And so, while I was out there, I kind of like reignited, recentered on like wanting to go back into the SEAL program. So I was going to apply again to go back, and then I met an EOD officer out there. So I didn't really know what EOD was at that time, but came in contact with him, and he told me about it, showed me what they do, and I was I was blown away. Pun not intended on that one, that just happened. Blown away by what they can do, and it seemed like a very similar pathway, and a little more technical. So I think something that like really I liked it, that it was more into, I wouldn't say sciencey, but I mean you're doing more technical work.
You're diffusing chemical
You are,
compositions.
yeah.
So.
And the opportunity to work on nuclear weapons sounded kind of cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
to each their own.
Yeah. So I kind of shifted my, I didn't really change my training plan. They're both, in terms of selection, require pretty much the same level of physicality.
Okay.
And so I just kept training for that, and then I ended up applying for an EOD officer contract. I was still enlisted at this time. Applied and dropped that in like July of 2012. And in September of 2012, I ended up getting selected, which was super cool. Like, I remember, like, I think it was my executive officer on the ship, or commanding officer, one of that, I got paged up. It said, Seaman Monday, Captain's Cabin. I was like, whoa, and everybody's like, whoa, what's this about? And they brought me in, and the CO was like, hey, man, like, this is pretty cool news, but we just checked the selection result for your board, and it looks like you got picked up. And I was like, no way. That's awesome. And so...
Does everything change pretty fast when that happens?
It was very fast. I went, so that was September of 2012, and then 3 months later, I was in officer candidate school in Newport, Rhode Island.
From Japan?
From Japan,
okay.
Yeah. And then graduated officer candidate school in March of 2013, and then it was straight over to dive school in Panama City, Florida, EOD dive school. I went from like Seaman Monday to the officer in charge of what was it? Our class was 1350 EOD diver class, and I was the officer in charge of a 40-man class. Went through 8 weeks of that, and then it was right on to EOD school, which is a year long, and then we have follow-on combat skills training for the next 6 months, and then military free-fall training, and then boom, 2014, end of 2014, I'm now at like an EOD mobile unit as a platoon commander. That was cool. I was like, this is why I joined the military. I came to do this type of job, and it was nice to finally be in that role.
Right. You finished the education. You're like, okay, I'm actually now getting to operate.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah, that was really cool. And then it was stationed in San Diego, so you can't beat that.
No, that's a great location.
Yeah.
I can think of worse spots to have to work and live. That is awesome. You stayed because of the people. What of those experiences has kind of stuck with you the most? That you can share.
Yeah, well, I mean, just I found that, man, we've got like some of the greatest people of character and just motivation, integrity in the military, and just like, I don't know. Like, I think what I'm really trying to say is like you can be like you can achieve so much more in a team environment than you ever could as an individual. I think a lot of motivated independent people will like try and do a lot more than they can, or just like, I like to do stuff myself. I don't like people doing things for me.
Sure.
And so you tend to try and do everything yourself. And then that can work, but when you have a team of however many people of motivated individuals like that who are able to come together like that, your ability to achieve things goes not up just by a one-to-one in terms of like 8 people, but it's like exponentially, like logarithmically to go up. And it's incredible what we can do.
It's fun.
Yeah, and
it's fun to be surrounded by people that are smart and capable. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like, I think the biggest, that was the most important experience of that whole time that I was in. It was like really understanding like how capable a team is and why we operate in teams in the military. because I think a lot of like, being on a sports team, you get a flavor of that. You understand that you can't really win games by yourself. But in a military setting where the consequences become exponentially higher, you really understand that. Like,
you need backup, you need support. Yeah.
100%.
That makes sense. So you've transitioned now into somewhat civilian life. How has that been?
Pretty nice, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. It's nice having control over my schedule more so than I did when I was active. I'll say it's like a little confusing at times with, I think there's, like, if I have a week off or something where I'm not like working on a specific goal, it feels like, there's times where you feel like I've stalled out, and
Sure.
That's, I think, something I'm getting used to, where every week while I was active, there was always something to do. Always. You're always working on something. There's never any end to the work. Nothing is completed.
Right.
I think like in medical school, that's true as well. Like we can always study more. Nobody knows everything, essentially. So we're always like working to get better at that.
Learn. Yeah.
Yeah. But in terms of like taskers day to day, I have a lot more freedom in medical school than ever before. And I think that's great. That's awesome. I love that. But yeah, it's got its like weird moments here and there where, like I said, like this week's a pretty light week. So, like, do I wake up at 6 a.m. today? I'm not working out till 5. Do I wake up at 6? Do I sleep until 7:30? Like, what do I do? Like those are weird decisions that I didn't really have to think of for so long. And now it's like,
to have some autonomy, but then also to hold yourself accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes balance.
Yeah.
It does. It does. Any advice or lessons learned from the military that you're parlaying into civilian life that you think would benefit other civilians?
Yeah, so kind of like what I was alluding to there is having a routine or a schedule, and sticking to it as best you can. I mean, I'd say that the military life, a lot of that is structured. You aren't always creating that schedule, and you'll have days where you can't keep routine. You've got a schedule that's given to you, and it's very like all over the place, or it's just a really extended work period. But just having structure and sticking to a schedule really simplifies, I think, a lot of the minute decisions you do day to day that can be stressful and cause people to like have decision paralysis, where you're like, wait, should I do this or do this?
Like, I just gotta follow the list.
Yep. Bingo. Mm-hmm. And that helps. And I think that's also like one of the first year medical student issues is trying to figure out how to get into the right study routine in order to be successful in the exams and further without burying yourself in just too much work and having poor sleep or because
rumor is med school's hard, right? That's the going.
It's not easy. It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. But I think that it becomes a little easier, more manageable when you've got a good schedule down, a good routine. I've been like, it's not perfect. I don't maintain that I get up at 6:30 every day thing. Some nights I need to go later because there's just some tweaks that need to be made on the material. But for the most part, I stick to a pretty consistent. I fall asleep at this time. I get up this time. And I'll start my morning off with I'll have a coffee and I'll do a little morning stroll. I get out, get my sunlight, boom, mind's ready to go do things, and then jump into lectures. And then when we have mandatory events on campus, I head over to that, whether it be laboratory, well, that's what it is, laboratories or other lectures. And then I'll try and cut those off by about 5, do some physical activity in the afternoon, and then depending on how the day's effort was, maybe resume some of those, maybe not, and eat dinner, wind down, and then pass out. Do it again. And then weekends, you in doing so, you give yourself more free time when others have free time, which is, I think, also important because keeping that social connection is like really important.
So you made the decision to come back to school later on in your career. Mm-hmm. What was that like? And then I'm curious, how has being maybe a more mature adult in this process been, given, I have to think the general average age is maybe a little bit younger of med students?
Yeah.
What's it like?
I think it's like one of the, I kind of like had I was fortunate to be able to kind of like break that barrier a little bit of, I think, being older than a lot of my classmates through some of the post-bac work I did to get ready for medical school. And so it did not feel like really overly weird to be in classmates with, be in class with folks who are 10, 12 years younger than me. And it's also, I think, really, it helps to focus on, not focus, but it helps to kind of just embrace the environment a little bit more, knowing that we're all now on the same trajectory here. Like, we're all going through medical school right here. We're all going to be the same step of medicine when we graduate. We're going to go to residency after this. So we're all on the same trajectory now.
You're in
Age
it.
difference or not, we're all now in it. And I appreciate that a lot. And I think that was like something that also was like a unifier in a lot of the selection processes that I went through. Like, we had some people who came out of high school, like, who were 17 years old going through. We had others who were 30, but we were all going through this exact same training together. Yes, people had life experiences outside of that could be used to make them better at certain things, but nobody there was going through dive school as an expert on diving. Nobody was going through EOD school as an expert on EOD. We were all learning these things together.
Right.
And so those experiences really, I think, helped me to just cut out the whole age gap. That really doesn't matter to me. And I just think I have the process to thank for that. We're all going in the same direction.
Yeah. Well, and being able to respect everyone who's there, right? Like that they're all in it with you. I'm curious, is there anything from maybe a younger generation that you're picking up on that you think is different from your experience?
Yeah.
Have you learned any new slang or any new ways of doing anything that's been
Definitely slang, which is great. I would like to thank social media for keeping me abreast of that too.
Okay.
So I think like it doesn't seem strange to me at all. These are everything in terms of generational speech differences is like already kind of nullified through social media.
Yeah, familiar, yeah.
And then like it seems pretty, I don't know, natural to me.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing, not really.
Well, it's just, I think we see on social media, oftentimes people kind of demonizing or vilifying younger generations, right? As, and each generation being so different from each other and stratified. But in reality, when we can look at just humans for who they are, we can see them as who they are.
100%.
So that's cool. Okay, so what type of medicine are you looking to pursue?
Ooh, okay. Well,
any guesses from the audience?
Oh man, stereotypical,
Given this background.
stereotypical emergency medicine. I guess I really like.
Shocking.
Yeah, I know. I like being in an environment. Yeah, shocking. Where there's chaos going on, and being able to do something about it.
Okay.
So emergency medicine definitely jumps out as a front runner. I'm an EMT, and I had some experience on a fire department as an EMT and a firefighter before joining the Navy as well. So my kind of heart is in that realm too. I also really like procedural methods. I really enjoy surgery, what you can do with surgery. I like that part of it. I don't know if I like the lifestyle part of it. I'm still trying to learn more about what lifestyles exist within surgery and see if I can commit to that direction or not.
I just had a conversation with someone recently who's a MD, and they said that the surgical rotation is really, really challenging.
We're just getting that info as well. Yeah. So, my sister, she's actually a physician as well right now, and she's in her second year of residency.
That's fun that y'all can collaborate on that.
Yeah, it's great. She's awesome. So my baby sister, who's way ahead of me in the process, she is doing her residency at Kings County Hospital in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So she chose like in the heart of it out there. So she's doing a dual emergency medicine, internal medicine program, and she just finished up a surgical rotation, I think, a month or so ago.
Okay.
And was saying it was very informative. but also validated her decision even further on what she made. She said, I absolutely made the right decision on going to EM. So
Okay.
that was important. I like anesthesiology as well.
Okay.
I'm really, I've crossed paths with a few anesthesiologists who have, the moment I told them I wanted to do emergency medicine, are like, no, you should do this. You're going to get burnt out. And I'm like, well, we'll see. I don't have enough experience in anesthesiology to say whether I would go that direction or not. I'm very intrigued by what they can do with airway management and critical care. And all of them have stomped the floor and saying lifestyle is so good. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, that's nice. We'll see though. I mean, there's got to be a balance between lifestyle and enjoying what I'm doing. And if I feel like I'm playing second fiddle in the
You're gonna be
OR,
bored.
I'll be bored.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it's interesting. I've known a lot of emergency medicine providers, and I seem to see that there are kind of two schools of personalities that go into that. There's this super, just very, very, very high energy, high vibe, go fast, like trauma, like fixing things. And then there's the very calm, methodical, measured, can handle all the chaos, but they themselves are a very calm, demeanored person. And both are very effective in those realms, but it's interesting to see like what personality types opt into what types of professions. And what would you say is your personality type? It doesn't have to be one of those two. It could be lots of other things too, but that will maybe help you see where you align.
Well, my sister has always said I've been pretty chill and like, whatever, like crazy things going on. I think I can get hyped up in some circumstances, for sure. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I feel like I'm mostly pretty chill, even keeled. So maybe the latter of those two.
Okay.
But I also like to do a lot of adrenaline activities, but maybe I like to do them because they don't scare me.
Phase you to the same extent.
Yeah. So I don't know. Hard to say. Still figuring that one out.
You
Maybe
don't
when
have
I
to
grow
know
up,
yet,
I'll know.
right? Yeah, you don't have to know yet.
Yeah.
There's lots of time to figure out what's going to resonate. That's very, very exciting. Okay, so what's probably even more exciting, which is crazy to say, right, given your career and what you've been up to, is something you did this past May.
Yeah.
Tell us about what you were up to, pun intended.
Well, I had an incredible opportunity to achieve a lifelong dream. I was able to get out to Nepal and climb Mount Everest, and I reached the summit on just casual.
Yeah.
Climb Mount Everest.
What we're all doing.
Reached the summit May 13th, which at that time when I was on top of the world was still Mother's Day back in the U.S. And so I was able to send a GPS message to my mom saying Happy Mother's Day from the top of the world. So that was
That's a pretty cool one.
That was special.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, your family, you said, was not super thrilled with military. How did you feel about going for the tallest summit?
Well, they didn't like that at first.
Okay.
But they eventually, they've been great in terms of support through all of that. No matter what my decision was, even if they weren't happy with it, I mean, they didn't shut down and say, I'm not going to talk to you, I'm not going to support you. And they were slow to come around. And I had to get them put in touch with some of my climbing friends who've had experience. So I got a really good climbing buddy. Her name's Charlotte Austin, and she's been a mountain guide for years. She climbed Everest in 2019, and has been a good friend and mentor. And we were chatting about that. And she volunteered to talk to my parents about like the experience and be a point of contact
totally
while
fine.
I was gone.
Don't worry.
To just talk my mom through the crazy moments of like what's going on, and worry, and talk her down. And so. Having her chat with them and them coming to understand that this was something that was really important to me helped them come around to support. And I think there was always this worry about the dangers of that and me coming home. And I think part of that's just like a lot of the Everest stories are kind of tragedies that we hear about. I think
Right.
we always. I mean, that's kind of like stereotypical.
Yeah.
Like
It's
everything.
littered with the dead bodies of highly achieving people.
Right. Yeah. And
People
it's a
who at
good
one
way.
point in time that they could.
I love that joke. Yeah,
Do
every
more.
person who's dead out there was once a highly motivated person. Yeah, I've heard that one a lot. I think that's just well known. I think that in terms of like what I've done in my military career in danger, I think Everest was not as dangerous as some of those things.
Okay.
But a lot of what I did in the Navy, they don't know of, they don't see, they don't hear of, and so they didn't have a measure mentally to compare this to
Reference.
that. And so for them, this was something they knew about in terms of media and read about,
Right.
and thought this was probably the most dangerous thing I'd ever done. And I was like, no, it's not. I mean, it's a serious endeavor for sure, but comparatively not like to what I've done in the past. And so
It's all relative.
it's all relative. That's right. Yeah, it's all relative. Eventually, they were supportive of it, and my family sent me like off with some of the sweetest notes. And there's a great poem my mom sent with me, and had all that stuff in my pocket on the journey up. And yeah, they rallied around me to ensure that I was going on the right note, not on this like, oh well, you know what, I'm gonna go do whatever I want and screw you guys.
Right.
Like
That wouldn't feel good.
No, it wouldn't. So yeah, they eventually came on board to support me in this, and really glad they did, because there are days where you're doing these long expeditions where I mean you're just up and like grinding in a not so pleasant place. So the actual climb to the summit, I would say that's the real exciting part of Everest. The grind of getting acclimatized to those altitudes, and sleeping at really high altitudes and eating less than stellar food and going to the bathroom and bags and stuff like that is not pretty or
Pleasant.
fun. You smell
Right.
like an animal.
Yeah.
And I think those are probably things that aren't talked about so much, but that's thankfully stuff that I had become accustomed to through military, through having done mountaineering for years prior to that. Like these were things that, like, while uncomfortable and was aware of, like it's
is
stuff
what
I've
it
done
is.
before,
Yeah.
right? And so going into Nepal, like that was like checking the box. Like I know this is not going to be pleasant, but
I'm here
that's
for
what
it.
we're here for.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for. Yeah.
You set your expectations, so you're like, all right, know what I'm getting into. Okay, so when did climbing Everest become a goal for you? How did it come on the horizon?
I want to say it was like third or fourth grade.
Wow. Okay.
And not in like this, well, maybe it was serious. I don't know. The little third or fourth grade Pat sees something about tallest mountain in the world. I was like, oh, I want to go climb that thing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, who doesn't want to climb the tallest mountain in the world as a kid? And
I'm sure there's probably some, but
maybe. But that was like, I think that was when I had first heard of the mountain. And it had always been in the back of my mind. And I think there was a period of time when I was transitioning from Japan back to the States between the ship and officer candidate school, where I had an opportunity to go up to Mount Fuji in the winter. I was like looking into what I would need to do that time of year, because I wanted to climb that in those winter conditions before I left. And it said Mount Fuji is on par with some of the more serious mountaineering endeavors. You need to have true mountaineering gear to do it right. So I went and bought, I would kind of like amateurly went out and shopped online, like what would I need to be able to climb this and also climb some of these other mountains, maybe Himalayan mountains one day. And looked at gear that would be useful in like multiple places, and went with that. And so I bought a lot of that. Did a little solo winter attempt of Fuji, was not successful at all. I went up on probably one of the worst days of the week. It was like 90-mile-an-hour winds at the summit. Something outrageous where it was cold and windy and a bad idea to do it. So, did not summit, but had fun. I was out there doing it, and it was pretty cool to be able to do that on my own in Japan before. It was like my last little thing before I flew out of Japan. So it was a nice kind of parting goodbye to Japan. Took all that with me, and then I think throughout the pipeline, anytime we had a weekend, an extended weekend, I would take opportunities to go out to some mountain somewhere and climb it. I even convinced one of my classmates to go with me, and we went up to Mount Washington in New Hampshire, which is not high, but it's kind of a sporty climb when you do it in the winter conditions, because the winds at the summit are pretty substantial.
All right, yeah.
I think
So it creates all the ice-packed snow.
it does, yeah. And I think like they do regularly get the highest recorded wind temperatures on Earth. It's a really interesting anomaly that like Mount Washington has up there. So it gets Dan, Marriott, and I, my buddy, we climbed it, and you could lean into the wind at some points on the summit up there, like, and we're with gear. It's no joke, the wind up there. So it was kind of a fun just weekend activity to fly up and do that. And then I later on did some California 14ers when I got stationed out in San Diego, and I think that just kept the bug going. Like, I wanted to continue doing this. And I think growing up in Utah and being in the mountains and skiing and snowboarding,
you're already acclimated.
I'm already. It's just something I want to do. Is I want to keep going up on top of those mountains.
Yeah.
And
there is something about like when you're down in the valley, you're like, what's it like up there?
Yeah.
When you get up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's addictive, honestly.
Yeah.
The more I climb, man, getting up on top of those mountains, and just you get a new perspective on things, which is really cool.
Well, it puts things. You realize that we are infinitesimally small, but also how wonderful and great the world is as a result of like getting to be a part of it. I don't know if that's your perspective, but that's been mine when I'm on higher peaks and stuff. I've not been on Everest or anything remotely close to that.
Hey, just hiking and climbing mountains in general, I would say, is some of the best mental medicine anybody could ever do.
It is. It is. I think there's a kind of like a viral Instagram post going around right now that's just like, if you don't feel good, go skiing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get up there.
It's the best thing.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more with that.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I think that's partly why I have been doing it so long, and want to continue doing it and building on it. Is just, I love a lot of why I do some of these more extreme activities, I guess, is I like doing problem solving and decision making in an environment that's challenging. So mountaineering does that. I like the mountaineering aspect more than just the hiking trail. I like the fact that you don't necessarily know the path. You got to kind of figure it out for yourself. The conditions on the mountain are always evolving. What a certain
and deteriorating.
Yeah, always
really.
exactly deteriorating. Yeah, that's a thing that came up on Everest.
I feel like they don't often improve.
Yeah. The route that someone took yesterday does not mean that the route will be the same today. And you can't blindly just start booting up and expecting to get to the top, because more often than not, it'll put you in a bad situation, or worse. And I really liked that. I like that it's a physical activity that I like anything that's like physically challenging, but it's mentally challenging at the same time. You got to kind of grind mentally. You got to be invested in it, and reaching the top of a peak that you've just put X number of hours into or days I don't know. It's like you want to beat your chest. You're like, I did it. You feel really confident in yourself. It's a good medicine, like I said, kind of just to accomplish things like that. And it's not you against the mountain. Honestly, the mountain, it is what it is, but it is I swear there's something to like a mountain's got to let you climb it. And when it does, you're like, thanks, buddy. I had to earn it. I had to fight it. But thank you for letting me do this. Is
there a fair bit of you against you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. So that is, I think, something I kind of learned in like a lot of the selection processes in the military was, I mean, really, like, it is you versus you internally. Like, there's this thing inside of you that says, hey, this is painful. This is, and not like painful as like you're injured painful, but like it's just pain of like, this is uncomfortable. I'm either cold, I'm tired, I'm hungry, my muscles ache, I'm breathing hard, I'm sweating. I'm going through snow that's up to my waist, and every time I step, I keep collapsing, and it's really frustrating like that. But you kind of just tell that part of your brain to kick rocks, kick rocks. Yeah, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's cool and all, but guess what? That reward of like having finished something despite being in a mental state where your mind's like, come on, just turn back, stop, it'll be over, and kind of just saying, nah, I'm good. I'm directing the narrative here and going through that kind of is, well, I mean, I think it just reinforces your ability to, well, it just reinforces your
Resolve.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Okay.
Your resolve. I mean, you feel confidence in going into other avenues and other areas, and you know that you're capable of doing a lot more.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and that confidence, I think, is translatable to so many other things other than mountaineering. And so I think that's like that silent confidence of knowing that you can go to some pretty dark places and difficult situations and still be okay. Like the initial like huffing and puffing and breathing that starts about 10 minutes into it is like disregard.
Yeah.
You got days ahead of you, and you'll be fine.
So then how do you know what's the line, right? If you can tolerate so much, how do you know when it becomes dangerous?
Yeah.
How do you know how to make that critical decision of go, no go?
Awesome question, because I had to make that choice a few times in mountaineering. I want to be more scientific than this, but really it comes down to a gut feeling. There's something that's off.
Yeah.
There may be one or two things, like whether it gets, there's snow conditions you notice that, not that you're punching through, but you're starting to see things slide. You're starting to see winds gusting up off a ridge that you can see on certain mountains where it may not be the best time to go for it. Having to kind of put into perspective what the point of the climb is. Actually, for a lot of the Everest training I did was that. I would get into a climb, it'd be like 9 hours into it, and I'd get into a chute on a mountain, and I'm like, I don't like these conditions. Something about this just doesn't seem right. And I could push for this, and maybe I'll get up there and I'll grind for a few more hours and get up on top of this. Or maybe I'm going to trigger an avalanche, and then boom, like if I survive that, am I injured? And now I'm not going to Everest anymore. And so it's like, what is the goal here? What am I doing today? How does this get me closer to that goal? What is the point of this? Is the point of this climb today to get to the summit, or is the point training for Everest? And that was kind of like a juggle I had to do. And a lot of it was like, yeah, no, everything I'm doing here is training for Everest. I could literally go grind for 12, 15 hours a day on these mountains, never summit anything, and still get what I needed to do.
Yeah,
right.
acclimation work.
And so that happened a lot in the spring in particular. In previous climbs where maybe I wasn't like focused on going to Everest, but just wanted to climb the mountain, it still comes down to like a gut feeling where this just ain't it. Fuji, that first one I did back in 2012 was an example. I was like, something's just off here. Like whether I don't know enough about the mountain at this time of year. I'm really amateur and inexperienced.
You brought yourself.
I brought myself, and I have New Year, and a lot of people say I was foolish in the first place to even try. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, sometimes you got to figure things out the hard way.
Yeah, sure.
There's that balance of that. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I absolutely advocate for like, learning avalanche awareness, doing mountaineering courses, having people that know what they're doing teach you how to do that. But there is something to be said about figuring things out on your own. Mm-hmm. And like, that's something that's applied to a lot of what I've done, and the things that I figure out on my own, I learn the best. It's just like, it becomes such a deep level of understanding when you're like, oh, like I went through this the whole thing and now I really understand this.
Mm-hmm. See how it fits. See how it works.
Yeah. It sticks with you forever. Mm-hmm. Rather than someone telling me how to do it and then I repeat what they tell me or go through the motions. You're like, okay, I get a little bit out of that, but like when I go through and I'm like, oh, the reason why I do this is because if I don't do this, this happens because it did. I'm like, oh.
Got it.
Okay. So it was like a combination of like having instruction. I started off with like teaching myself, but because I was doing that without having formal training, I was also a little more conservative in how I did that. And I think that was really useful in my early mountaineering approaches, that is translated to more recent mountaineering endeavors, where I had the confidence and skills and training to go out and do a lot of these on my own, but I also have kind of an awareness of when I don't have a team in place, or I don't have certain, like if I'm not on a rope team, probably not going to risk XYZ because I'm by myself.
Right.
Yeah.
What did preparation for Everest look like? How long? What was it? What did it endeavor?
Yeah. So I specifically started training for Everest in January this year.
Okay. That's not a lot of
No, it's not.
prep.
It's not a lot.
That's not a lot.
A lot of people are training for that.
5 months?
A year sometimes. But I was in a unique situation. So I had just gotten out of the military, and I had nothing but time at this point. So I could make training for Everest my job.
Okay.
So I did, starting in January, which was great. So it was in the gym 2-3 days a week. And the days I wasn't in the gym, I was out on the mountain somewhere.
Okay.
Whether it be in Cache Valley, I was booting up the Wellsville Mountains, or my parents live in Providence, and there's oh my goodness, I'm blanking. But I'd go up on the mountains on that back end there, and I mean, just trudging through the snow, going uphill, you'll get something out of that for sure, and doing it for a sustained period of time. And that was actually like a lot of what the training was like a slow, we call it zone 2 heart rate training.
That's become the norm for all types of endurance athletics.
Yeah,
Getting really that zone 2.
Yeah, and it works really well. I mean, it got to the point where I would go kind of expand my training area a little further. I'd go stay with some friends in Colorado Springs and start doing some of those winter 14ers. And then we were talking about like 15, 16-hour days. And stuff like that was like, I felt good towards the end of that. Let's see, that was like late March. So I left for Nepal on April 10th. So yeah, 4 months later. 4 months from when I like officially said we're going to Everest.
You're ready to go.
And then I felt great to go. I remember I was doing I can't remember why I didn't go up the mountain today. It might have been like a snowstorm going on. So I went to the gym and did a stair stepper workout, and like I remember it took like an hour for my heart rate to get over like 70. And that's when I knew that
like I'm probably ready for this.
We're good.
Yeah.
We're good at this point. We're ready to go. And so it wasn't a lot of time specifically preparing for Everest, but I had the confidence in my experience in the mountains, like how to move in snow, how to change gear based on the weather. That stuff was down pretty well.
Okay.
And it was just doing that focused period of time to get ready for doing a Himalayan high altitude expedition.
Did you have to get new gear for it?
I did have to get some more items, yeah. So the
Oxygen and...
Well, so I went through the company I went through provided the oxygen.
Okay.
Thankfully, that's so the whole like logistics with Nepal and mountaineering is a whole another big endeavor, and so using a company to do that is like the way to go. Had to get a down suit, get the whole Everest suit. Yep. That's not a normal thing to wear.
The one that's been in North Face, like on display for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, you really don't use that anywhere else in the world other than the Himalayas.
Probably not, no.
Yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, you're just like when you get up high on that mountain, you're moving slow enough to where you need that. It's too hot to climb it anywhere else, but because you're moving fast enough. But up at altitude, even on oxygen, you're moving slow, and when you move slow, you don't heat up as well, and you need that. I had to buy that. I had to get some pretty big boots. So they're called double boots. I've climbed with them most of my life. You have to get triple boots for Everest.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, triple boots.
Okay.
And then...
Do they make moving harder as a result of it? Like, I have to think at a certain point you're losing dexterity as a result of the size.
Yeah, I mean,
thickness.
A little bit. Fortunately, like the boots I'd had prior to were probably not the most athletic of mountaineering boots. They were a little bit bigger, and so it felt pretty similar when I was front pointing in ice and walking on steep slopes. It felt very similar. So dexterity didn't feel any different, which was nice. And I think that again, this kind of goes back to like the preparation I'd done in the years prior to.
Okay. Did you have anyone going with you on this experience?
No. I linked up with a team, and everybody came from kind of different areas of the United States. We had one Australian guy on our team, and yeah, I mean, I went with this particular company because Charlotte, my friend, had previously worked with the guy who leads the expeditions there. So we had some personal vouching for.
You knew that they were quality.
Solid, and understood how to work the environment there, which is another, I mean, thing with strategy and climbing Everest. I mean, even just the positioning of base camp, your base camp, matters. Everest's base camp from like the beginning to the very end near the Khumbu Icefall is about an hour walk from point A to B.
Wow.
So if you're
where you're positioning yourself is gonna make a difference.
Absolutely. I mean, we had ours staged almost as far as we can go to the Khumbu Icefall, so it was not a very far walk, which adds time when you're doing your rotations. And the folks who were at the entry to the camp, I mean, they're walking with all their gear for an hour and some change up to that.
Seems like an unnecessary added hardship.
Right. But I mean, that's the Everest base camp season. I mean, it's a big thing every year, and it's a pretty, I mean, relatively narrow window of climbing time up there before they shut it down.
Wow. Yeah. How many people were on the mountain the day you were going? Do you know?
So for the summit day, I don't know how many people. I think it was a lower number than. Well, we went for the summit on May 13th, and the reason we did that was because fixed lines had been set just the day before, I think, and that's how you climb in Nepal. It's like fixed line. It helps immensely. So we use mechanical senders to my harness. I'll attach the rope and I'll slide it up, and it's one way, so it bites down, and then I pull up and I slide up this way and I walk with it. And so I think the word was that fixed lines were going to be finished by the 12th, or I think it was 11th or 12th. Anyways, we were right up to the point where like the first day you can kind of go for the summit. So we planned back from that, and we had a team meeting about weather window. So it looked like beyond the 13th, the weather got really bad. It was going to be really high winds, potentially snowfall up the summit. And the next like summit window wasn't going to be for another 10 days, I think. Which was, I think, more normal for the Everest climbing seasons. You tend to get the better weather window towards the end of May. But I think our team had just finished its last acclimatization rotation, and so we were like faced with, do we want to spend 3 more days at base camp, go for it, and maybe get turned back on that day, knowing we got to come back all the way through the Khumbu Icefall and then wait it out for another week, or do we want to go for it and hopefully make that narrow window on the 13th, because there was a high winds forecasted for the later day of the 13th. So we all were like on board with going. Let's go. We all feel good. Like everybody's feeling physically ready to go. So the consensus was go for it on the 13th. So we'll go for the summit on the 13th. So we left base camp for our summit week on May 9th. So we left base camp around 11:30, midnight-ish, to go through the Khumbu Icefall. So the Khumbu Icefall is kind of like notorious in a lot of media as this massive crevasse openings, ladders all over, and the movie Everest that came out, I don't remember when it, but like shows like this triple ladder thing and people falling off that. You got to move through that at night. The sun tends to make glaciers crack and move and collapse, and so nighttime is a more stable period to go through that area. So we moved through the night. We left that night, got into Camp 1 around 6 a.m. And our job that day at Camp 1 was just to rest. So the whole summit week is you get to the next camp and you just rest.
How do you rest at altitude like that? What does rest even look like when you're out there? I find it hard to probably imagine.
So you got to get out of your head with the heart rate thing, because every one of us is wearing our GPSs and our heart rate's just laying down or 100 something, and you're just like, you got to like stop.
Like, I'm okay, it's fine.
Like it's normal up there. But we're so, I think, we get into our own heads about like what a normal heart rate looks like for resting. And so when you're at
sea level.
Sea level. When you're at Camp 1, which was at 19,800 feet, my heart rate laying down is like 100.
Yeah.
And that's normal. So resting at high altitudes means we call it get horizontal. You want to get your body horizontal, stay off your feet as much as you can. You only move to go to the bathroom or, stretch your legs if you're feeling antsy. I'd go to the Sherpa tent because I liked hanging with those guys and I thought their food was way better.
I can see that. Yeah.
They made spicy.
They know what they're doing.
They do.
Yeah.
The boys had it down. That was a fun time, and just those guys are pretty incredible. Like they're just talk about an evolution of people who's just built for high altitudes is like the Sherpa. And the Nepalis. There's Sherpa is like a specific group, but they've also got other climbers up there that are just it's awesome what they can do. They're moving loads up the mountain.
They're the ones laying the fixed lines and stuff, right? Yeah.
And some of them are smoking cigarettes while they do it. So it's just like, I'm like, okay, I'm a low lander up in a place where I'm just working to survive and this is their world.
I bet they're hand-rolled cigarettes, though, with natural tobacco, right? Like none of the
yeah, right. That's
extra additives
that
are making them less healthy. Who knows?
Yeah. They're impressive. I summited with my buddy Ashish Gurung. He's not Sherpa, but he's Nepali. And he and I reached the summit the morning of the 13th. 4:38 a.m. I remember just that night we left. So he and I were both fast climbers, and I thankfully the training that I did for Everest was what I needed to do. Paid off. When it got to summit night, it was.
I'm ready.
I was ready. I was absolutely ready.
Because that would be really terrible to be underprepared.
Yeah, or just fortunately my body did well. I wasn't sick. I wasn't having respiratory issues, which is very common up there, or getting the kumbu cough is what it's called. It's just this dry cough that happens, and a lot of people get it, and I was just very fortunate that I did not have that. Did
you do anything special to keep that at bay?
I think nothing more than anybody else. You do your best while you're up there to wash your hands religiously. Try and stay away from people that you can hear coughing. We're all wearing, it's called a buff, just this bandana type thing. We're wearing that constantly around base camp. I'm wearing it when I'm on the trails leading up to where there's yak dung that turns into dust. So try not to breathe anything nasty.
Okay.
And it worked out. So he and I are leaving Camp 4, which is at it's right about 26,000 feet. And at this point, when we're resting on oxygen. So all of us, everybody, who's climbing, we're all we're plugged into O2 at this point. Because physiologically, the death zone is, for the most part, no longer where humans can adapt. And so
no matter how much time you spend up there.
Right. Whether you're Sherpa, Nepali, everybody's on oxygen up there. And so we got up to Camp 4 on the 12th, probably around 11 a.m., noonish. And the plan was sit down for a couple hours, just be on high flow oxygen, high flow 4 liters per minute, eat some food, and then nod off for a couple hours, and then we were kind of staggering our team to 3 summit groups. We'd have the slower group go first, the mid group go second, and then the fast group would leave last, in the hopes that everybody kind of summits as a team relatively at relatively the same time.
Neat.
And so Ashish and I, and then Jared was another guy who left with us, and then I'm trying to remember the other guy. We had one other guy. We left in the fast group at 9:30 p.m. on the 12th. Night was clear, and we got everything set. We're in our down suits. We're in. We got frost on outside of our sleeping bags. Stereotypical. There's probably great little reels of people in the death zone. You see all this snow and ice in somebody's tent, and they're on oxygen and stuff. Same thing. And we start moving, and the winds weren't bad yet. The night looks pretty clear, and I can already see a trail of headlamps going up the summit ridge here. And I was like, oh man, this is cool.
Wow.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
And so we booed out there, and then I think within like the first hour, like Jared and I split into two-man teams, and Ashish and I are one, and then Jared's with I'm blanking his name, but we kind of break into different speed teams at that point. And I remember getting up to this has to be like 90 minutes into it, and we're up on a fixed rope, pretty steep edge, and like we get to a stopping point. I've got a crowd ahead of me, and we're
a crowd.
I can't tell how many at night. I'm just like, this is too many people, and why am I not moving? So I slide my ascender up, and it's in my mind. I was like, I knew Summit and I would be slow because whether or not physically we were moving slow or we were gonna have to get around some people. I figured it would be like a slide, step, breathe. Slide, step, breathe. But this was more like slide, step, and then 3 minutes.
Whoa.
It was a long time.
Whoa.
And I mean, you could feel it, like we're getting cold. Like I was starting to feel it in my toes, my hands, like my body. I was like, okay, now we're at a point where it's like actually really cold. And I was like, yo, Ashish, is this normal, man? And he's like, no. I was like, you want to sprint? So he's like, so we detached from the fixed line, and we did a couple sprints, as you will, to get ahead of some groups there, and we did that. Just sprint uphill. That was like, I was like, yes, this is why I trained for this. Yes, in the dust zone. I was sprinting up on oxygen.
Okay.
And we do that a couple times. How
steep is it at those points? I mean, it's walkable at those points?
No, we were probably like on all fours, kind of rapidly doing that. And it was hard to, I guess, a little harder to judge the angle of that pitch there because we're on headlamps. Maybe, I don't know. Not the flattest portion of the mountain for sure. Okay. You're definitely making more vertical progress than you are horizontal. Yeah. And then we got ahead of a couple groups, and then it started to see less and less headlights ahead of us. And we got to a point called the balcony. That's about 27,000-ish feet. I remember stopping there. I had like a Snickers bar, and I had a half a liter of water, and that was all I ended up having the entire night. I was just so amped up. To just it was just like
you're on reserves.
I was in it.
Yeah.
I was in it.
Yeah.
It was like game day finally.
And your Snicker bars wasn't frozen?
It was frozen. It was like it was absolutely like, I mean, you put put as much as you can within your suits to keep it warm, keep it from freezing.
You don't want to break a tooth.
Exactly. It's the last thing we worry about.
No, we have that to deal with.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
that would be fun.
Yeah. And so Ashish and I from that point on, we're just moving and grooving, and there's less and less headlights ahead of us. And that's when I think the thought crossed my mind. I was like,
can we be first today?
Yeah. Are we going to be the first ones on top today? Are we? I mean, it's becoming more reality that I was like, we're going to reach the summit, and we might be the first ones. And then we get to the South Summit. So the South Summit's about 28,000 and change. I can't remember. We're up there. We're really up there.
You're close. You got like 1K left, right?
Yeah. Well, less than that. I think it's further along than that because it wasn't much longer. But we did a bottle swap. So I swapped out oxygen at that point. And this is where the wind started to pick up, like, significantly. And this was like, and it was sustained. And this was where I was like questioning whether we were going to get screwed by the weather. I was like, oh no, this is picking up. And this came in a lot earlier than I thought. Like, I thought this was supposed to hold out to the afternoon.
We sprinted for this.
Exactly. When we have passed everybody at this point. So I can see definitively ahead of us that there is no other lights. And I look back, and we have left, nobody's even close to us. And I was like, wow, okay, cool, may happen. But then the winds came in. I was like, oh no, maybe this won't happen. And I was like, oh, I think we're close. But they didn't pick up like to a sustained dangerous level. So it became stronger winds and an occasional gust, but I think we were still in a good spot. It was colder for sure. And it was like uncomfortable wind where you hear it, and it's that kind of wind that just beats against your body. Yeah, it's not the friendly wind.
No.
But
Slight breeze.
yeah, slight breeze up at 28 plus K. I think this is the part where I was like, all right, I think we're just gonna keep pushing. We're gonna do this. And then we get to what's, I guess, left of the Hillary Step. The Hillary Step has changed since an earthquake back in 2015, 16 up there.
Oh wow.
It's still a thing. It's just not this dramatic jump up anymore. But it is a steep little spot there. And I remember just like in the dark looking left and like getting clipped in on the fixed line there and looking, I was like, oh, a fall here would be disastrous. And in my mind thinking, I was like, all right, I think we probably got like an hour and a half to 2 hours left till we get to the summit. I'm looking left, or I'm looking right, and I'm looking left, and I'm starting to see like a little glow of like light, and I can see that like we're really up there, and I'm starting to see like dramatic like rise and fall of everything else, and I'm like, we're up above everything. And I'm like, okay, this is happening. And then I remember like Ashish stopping in front of me, and I like come around to my right, and I look and I see this little prayer flag mound, and I don't see anything else higher than us. And I'm like, oh my God, we're there. Like, we're on top of the world. And it's just like, it surprised me when we got up to the top.
Yeah.
And I just like, I was like, Ashish, we're on top of the world. And he's like, yeah, brother. I was like, oh my God. And I yelled some expletives, we're on top of the world, with my mask on.
Yeah.
And then I hugged him. We hugged each other for a bit. And it's just like, oh my God, we're here. We did it.
Yeah.
And it's just he and I. I think it was probably 20 minutes where we just were up there, and I was just like soaking it in. I just kind of like panned around, looking out everywhere. And just seeing the top
how
of the world.
long you spend like on top of the world, right? Like, is it like, okay, we made it, now we're going back down?
Yeah.
Or like, no, you hung out.
I think we spent a total of 45 minutes up there.
Wow.
He and I did.
Wow.
And we had that luxury because we got up there quick.
Right.
And we didn't have anybody. Yeah, and we didn't exactly. And then I pulled out the camera as best I could. Like, my shots are like nowhere near. The wind was starting to get. It was strong. It was pretty significant wind up there. I was able to get my little American flag out. I had a big A&M flag. I wish I would have had a smaller one. The big A&M flag would have turned into a parachute, so I didn't bother getting that out. I think that would have been really well liked here.
Yep. It would have.
But yeah, I mean, it was just finally like we did it, and it was like I was like surprised at the moment that we reached the top.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh man, like finally we're here. It was like, oh, we're here. And then there was a group of 3 that eventually got there, and that was when I was able to do my GoPro. My GoPro lasted for all of 18 seconds. I pulled out a GoPro. I kept it close to my chest. The whole climb up, and the battery was full, and the moment I pull it out and put it into the freezing air, hit record, last 18 seconds before it shut down. So I got 18 seconds of GoPro 360 footage up there.
Okay, GoPro, it's time to really re-engineer what you're able to record. It's supposed to be for extreme activities.
Yeah. I'm sure I did something wrong with that though. So we did get some iPhone photos that at some point earlier on in the process, I'd brought a drone. I was hoping to pack with me. That thing wouldn't even take off because you have to do certain permissions. So the drone wasn't useful.
I'm impressed the iPhones worked at altitude.
Well, yeah, I mean,
in cold.
Yeah, they did great, keeping it again like close to skin, pulling it out for a little bit, and I was able to get photos, some video, quick ones, and then we put that away, and then he and I said it's been real, Mount Everest. We're going down now, and the winds were still pretty consistent, so we started headed down, and on our way down, we were passing the other groups who'd been coming up, and high-fived some of our guys who were on their way up, and just like. Just literally like that feeling of like being on top of the world, coming around, you're like, wow, this is amazing.
And you get to tell everyone else like, hey, you're really close. It's worth it. Keep going.
Yeah. Just high-fiving our guys, like, you got it.
Yeah.
And then they're like, you did it. We're like, yeah, we did it. And so we're going down, and I think on our way down, Ashish pointed out, he's like, hey, I don't think most people came this far up. I think a lot of people turned around in the night.
Wow.
Which, I guess I noticed when I was like, I guess it does feel like we're going down and people aren't coming up anymore. Which is good. I think that so it's the way the oxygen systems work up there is they're not an on-demand system. They're just a constant flow. And so it behooves you to climb faster. You're going to have more oxygen if you climb faster, which
Got
seems
it.
kind of
Okay.
maybe counterintuitive, but counterintuitive to how I have used diving systems in the past.
Right.
But for Everests, if you move fast, you'll have more O2.
Okay.
And so if you're going slow, you're going to run out and you got to turn back. So we passed all of our guys going up, and everybody on our climbing team made the summit that day, which was super awesome. It was very cold, very, very cold. We had a few guys get some cold injuries that night.
Okay.
Everybody okay? Nobody lost fingers and toes, but they had to get treated to avoid that. And then I remember there were bouts when we were coming down the summit ridge where the winds had really started to pick up, and Ashish and I just kind of squatted down for a minute, and it would just be a wave of wind. I've got a couple videos where it's just comical. I'm just sitting down, and you could just see a whiteout knock. It's just we hit that window just right because we came down. We took a little breather at Camp 4. Gathered our gear and then headed down because the weather was it was getting worse. And so 20 hours from leaving for the summit back down to Camp 2, and we knocked out, and that was the summit day.
Wow. Okay. That's a long day. Do you normally come down so quickly, or is it people will stop at 3 or?
Yeah, so I mean, there are people who will stop at 3, and you have so Camp 2 is a little more robust than 3. Camp 4 is really like an emergency stop. You're still in the death zone. You're still going to need to be on oxygen the whole time. So if you're low on O2, you got to get down. Okay. Yeah, that's the thing. You're gonna get better by getting down, but if you stop up there, that's not the place to do it. Yeah. Camp 3 is a little better than Camp 4 because you're no longer as high, but you're still, you're at 23,000 feet at Camp 3. And then Camp 2, you drop down another 1,500 feet. And you've got, there's a lot going on at Camp 2. So Camp 2 could be, in a way, called Advanced Base Camp because there's a lot of, I think it's the last place they can fly helicopters up to get gear in. So there's
so it's more stocked.
Yeah. So people that have to fly out for emergencies get down to Camp 2 and they'll get evac'd off of that. So get down to Camp 2 is the game plan unless something really bad happened. We all pushed and made it down to Camp 2. So it was really relaxing, then knowing that the next day we'd get down to camp or base camp.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And then do you stay at base camp for a bit, or do you go home? Is there a deacclimation period?
No. It's actually, you feel better the lower you get.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So you've kind of jumped into this area where you're not going to feel, you're really just working against time at that point, the higher you are. But going down is going to make you feel better for sure.
Well, and people feel altitude effects at about over 7,000 feet, certain people. So it's, you're way over that.
Yeah, it was very fortunate. My body adjusted to that, and so I'm very grateful for that. And then coming back down, I felt like I had I joked with my friends and family, but I was I had some Everest superpowers coming back because you've got such a high red blood cell count at that point. Yeah. You've essentially been blood doping. So you're coming back down to Utah altitude, 4,500 feet, and
feel great.
I feel amazing. Yeah. It's really hard to tire, and it's going to go away soon. But that's why when I came back, I was I need to go climb some more mountains while I've got this superpower. Okay. And so I went out and just hit mountain after mountain where I was just racing up these things in single day pushes where I was just man, I just don't feel tired. This is great. And it eventually went away. Now I'm back in College Station at sea level, and I won't have.
But it's why people train at altitude and then go race at sea level. Yeah. It makes a profound difference. It does.
Absolutely.
And it's pretty cool to see what our bodies can adapt to.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so after climbing the highest high that there is, what's next?
Oh.
Aside from med school and pursuing that.
Well, that's definitely the focus.
How do you stay charged for future goals and future efforts?
Oh man. Well, Everest is the highest mountain, but it's not the most difficult mountain.
Right. That's K2, right?
Yeah, it is. K2 is arguably the most difficult mountain in the world when we talk about a combination of like high altitude and mountaineering skills and then mountain hazards. I am very interested in K2, and we'll see. So Charlotte and I have been collaborating on a future mountaineering project for next summer when we have that time off. K2's climbing season aligns with that time off. I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of moving parts and pieces that would need to happen for that, but that's one objective. That's another
Okay.
mountain that I've known about for a long time that has important like value to me. It's just the highest, second highest mountain in the world. It's also something I've known about for a long time. And I appreciate that it's a little less commercialized than Everest.
Right.
So the one thing I think that really was not my favorite part of the Everest experience was just there is definitely an industry, there is a business there, and you see it. You see a lot of people up there that maybe shouldn't be going for the highest mountain in the world. But I mean, there's also people who've got a company and they're trying to make money off of it. So who am I to say what's right or wrong?
Right.
It's just
There's
part of the
demand,
process.
so there is supply.
Right. There is a process that's up there, but very pleased with the company I went with because it seemed like they were focused on vetting their clients so that people who were climbing with them are not amateurs.
Or endangering them.
Right.
I mean, it's not good for anyone to have somebody who doesn't know what they're doing up there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. That can be a big problem on a rope team. So I mean, K2 Denali is definitely like one that is another challenge. In fact, that's more likely than not going to happen as soon as we finish up the spring semester. I think Denali is a good one. It's the highest mountain in North America.
Right.
It's people will say, well, Denali can be harder than Everest. It's like, well, harder in different ways. It's definitely not the altitude, but because it's so far north, it has some pretty rough weather. It does get incredibly cold up there. It's a more remote experience. You got to haul a sled with more supplies and gear than you'd have to do for Everest. Depending on the time of year, so the unique effect of being that far north is the atmospheric effect of being that far north. 20,000 feet at the summit of Denali may feel more like 22,000 feet in terms of the oxygen up there. Yeah, so it can be a very challenge. I mean, it is a challenge. People say I haven't done it, but I know it's a challenge. And so that's definitely one of them. This winter, doing some more 14ers, some new stuff in Utah. There's so many mountains out there. I'll never be able to climb them all. And they all have their own unique challenges. Yeah. Like I reached the top of the world, but every other one is like they all have their own challenges that make them special.
Well, and there's also other metaphorical mountains in life of goals to go for and achieve. So there's lots out there.
Amen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's more ahead for sure. I have not cusped like that was one cool part, and there's a lot more ahead for sure. Some of it I've identified, and others I haven't yet.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else that you've identified that you want to share that you're working towards?
Well, I mean, like I said, like medicine is my main focus here. Really, really happy to be in this path, this career path now. Grateful for my time active duty at EOD because it helps forge connections and friendships and family outside of family that is there and supportive and moving forward. I know I have those people to be my rock. One more. So other areas of medical interest, anesthesiology, and then we're like the space industry is growing
It is.
immensely.
It is.
Really excited with the prospect of like growing medical care in space,
Okay.
whether it be here on Earth or maybe later on in the moon and Mars.
Okay. Oh, I have some people you should talk with.
Okay. I love to talk to all those people. I really I've always, talk about things as a kid that still stick with me, that are incredibly cool and would love to be involved with in some way, shape, or form at some point in life. It would be the space industry. I think that we should always be pushing to expand our presence in the stars, so to speak. I mean, making ourselves. I'm not gonna. Elon Musk's multi-planetary species thing, I love it. I mean, I agree with that. I think that having a presence somewhere else is important to continue on, and I think that us learning to live on other planets will eventually will prepare us for, hopefully, scientific advancements in propulsion technology that can lead us to places much further. And so having practiced somewhere closer, but off our planet, I think is important to do, and I'd love to be supporting that in a medical capacity if possible. So
okay.
There's that.
Just that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's very exciting. Kind of a couple final questions for you. I know we've been talking for a while. You've been talking for a while.
I've been yapping. Sorry.
No, all great. I think people are going to love this. Okay, so I'm curious. You're kind of go. You've got like thrusters all the way forward. How do you refuel midair and stay able to continue?
Ooh, okay.
Anything you do?
Man, I wish I had something like special. I'd probably keep doing that if I knew something special. Sleep.
Yeah, no, it's the best.
Sleep is incredibly important. I'm always trying to get more. I think I've got it down to where I can consistently get 7 hours of sleep a night.
Okay, all right.
I think what regenerates is setting a new goal each time. Each time I achieve a goal, it's always setting a new goal.
Yeah.
I'm on a parachute demonstration team on the side. I get to do that. That's really special and cool.
Yeah.
We get to jump into places that you don't normally get to jump into. So that's really awesome. And that's another decision-making, problem-solving aspect that I love. You got to be able to plan this event and think through things to land in this little spot instead of this little area. I don't know. I'm just right now it's school and what I'm learning is so exciting. I really love this is the first time in life where I've been man, I really love all that I'm learning, and I know that I can apply this to what I'm doing as a job, where rather than just learning things to just get the check mark of whatever degree. Right. Everything here is focused on getting us to be physicians, and the people I'm with are awesome, really just awesome people of character and drive, and what they want to do to make the world a better place is really inspiring. And so just honored to be part of that. So, I mean, that motivates me. And then having my extracurriculars and plans on what I want to do, there's always something stirring in the pot up here that I think helps when I come back from an event, planning for the next thing is in of itself actually kind of therapeutic and help and relaxing.
Yeah. We have something on the horizon that you're looking forward to that's keeping you moving in that direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, that's
okay. And another question for you. So, having a roster or a resume of such accomplishments, I have to think that might make it difficult to interact and relate with others. How do you interact with your peers? How do you keep yourself grounded amidst all that you've done and accomplished?
That's a good question. I mean, just kind of, remind myself that we're all on the same path here to be physicians. All the stuff that I do outside is it's been an honor to be able to do those things. I've been very fortunate to be able to have those experiences, and I hope that those experiences will translate into lessons that I can help other people with. But also just it's for me as I'm on this path that I'm not an expert in, and so we're all learning on this path together. And so I have those other things going on, and I have that life outside of medical school to be of value when it makes sense. But the other times it's my job is to be a student right now, to learn the material, be good at it, and do that with them. And I think that we share that bond. And then if there's, an opportunity to, outside of that environment, help my classmates with like piquing their interest outside of that, I'd be like, hey, I've got some experience in this. You want to like learn how to do this? Then I'm happy to do so. But I think it's nice that we're on the same path right now for the next 4 years, and it's thankfully a very time-consuming path. So
Sure.
I'm not overly concerned with having just 20 hours with them and then 100 hours outside of that where I'm like, wow, I'm doing totally different things. We're pretty aligned, and that helps.
Okay. Love that. All right. Any final thoughts, words of advice, encouragement, support for anyone listening that you want to share?
So, okay, actually, I've thought about this a lot, and I think that, and I appreciate it. Like, I get a lot of people are saying, like, I don't know how you do these things, that just, I would never, and I was like, well, I mean, honestly, I feel like everybody can do these things, it's just a matter of doing it. Like, our capabilities, person to person, aren't like wildly different. I think it's just a matter of like, giving yourself a chance, going out and being patient with yourself and just trying. And I think I just tried enough times that it like ended up working out, but never did I feel like I was just like, oh, I'm just in this thing and I'm just good at it. It's always just like, I just keep trying. Like, will I make it? I don't know, but I mean, you won't know if you don't try.
Yep.
So like, don't sell yourself short. If you're like wondering whether you can or can't do something, like just try.
Yeah.
Let the process kind of tell you whether or not it's for you.
Yeah.
Don't self-eliminate. I think that's like something like in conversations, just casually with people. I think that like, it's worth investing yourself or just giving yourself that chance.
Mm-hmm. Well, people opt out. They self-select themselves out of things all the time before they've even given themselves a chance to explore.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, I can't do that. And it's like, well, says who? I mean, I'm a big believer in everything is possible if you put your time, energy, money, resources, attention into it. We might not all have the same physical ability, but we can pursue pretty cool and great things. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
yeah,
The statement, I could never, I was like, actually, you could.
you could. You just haven't.
You just haven't done
tried.
it yet. But
Yeah.
you could. I promise you. Like, probably have that capability somewhere inside of you. Mm-hmm. But yeah. that's what I
Definitely.
mean.
Well, Pat, thank you so
Yeah.
much for making time during your week to record this and share your story with everyone listening. It's just, it's mind blowing. I mean, like listening to this, I'm kind of like, all right, well, I know I wasn't there, but I feel like I was there. Like that was awesome. So thank you for sharing and thanks for taking the time. All right. Cheers, y'all. Take care.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap on this episode of the Consultants Council. Thank you so much for your interest and engagement. Let us know what you'd like to learn more about by writing in to info@theconsultantscouncil.com. Thanks to Kelsey Consulting for facilitating this podcast and to K Studios for the media support. And with that, cheers and all my best. Have a great week. And remember, what's possible? Do more.